Here in the Republic of Bad Cryptopia, we've been talking about the Great Reset for many years. Designed to strip normal citizens of power and privacy, the global elite have their eyes set on making themselves kings and queens of the modern era. You and I, well, we're to be serfs, and we shall eat bugs and like it. But if the world were to transition to this final dystopian phase, how might it take place? A book titled The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb provides scenarios in which it might all unfold. You might say it's a blueprint for world domination or oppression. We give you our take on the Great Taking today on our, hey, we can't all be kings and queens, so suck it, episode number 696 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
This is the Bad Crypto Podcast, the show for the crypto curious and the crypto serious. We are your blockchain blockheads, your crypto clowns, the nifty nerds. It's the DeFi doofy, the metaverse morons, and the bad crypto badasses, Joel Comm and Sir Lord Travis Wright. And we're here for you.
We are here. Definitely. Not only that, we want to, we've been talking about a lot of this stuff, and some people go, oh my God, it's conspiracy, you guys. But part of the reason that I know that I got into crypto was because I understood how fiat money works, right? And once you understand how paper money works and the Federal Reserve Bank, that's neither federal nor a reserve, and then paper fiat money is always inflationary, it always crashes eventually, and always create these depressions and whatnot. And so it's like, once you understand that and you start trying to figure out how the rest of the system works, right, Joel, kind of?
Yeah, absolutely. And, hey, conspiracy theorists are batting pretty high right now. Like if, you were a Vegas odds maker, you'd have to put your money on the conspiracy theorists. And look, some of it is just obvious as the nose on your face, unless, unless you have no nose, in which case it's just obvious that you don't have a nose on your face, which is even more obvious than having a nose on your face. So, by the way, Travis, I was reading through, our list of funny things that we call ourselves. Usually we say we duck, duck, go things so people don't have to. And that has to change now. Now we're chat GPTing stuff so people don't have to.
Right. That's true. Because a lot of times. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we're Claude AIing stuff also. You found a great site called Claude AI that you can upload documents to and tell it to give you summaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. It's one of those tools that can help you learn faster, right? As long as these tools don't become bastardized and be completely biased from a liberal bent, right? That only gives you, like if you upload stuff and it goes, we don't want to tell you that because it says things we don't want you to know. I think we're still early that's not the case. I do think Chat GPT is getting a little more biased. Claude doesn't seem to be yet, right? But what I did was I found this document. I think I found it on a Twitter thread or a YouTube video. I don't remember exactly where I found it, but then if you go to thegreattaking.com, you can actually get this PDF, download the PDF, then upload it into Claude.ai. And when I say Claude, that's like Claude Monet, CLAUDE.ai. Upload it in there, and then you can start asking it questions, right? You can do this with any PDF that you want to upload. But this author right here, David Roger Webb, he's worked in finance and investing for many years, and he started to realize that most of these major economic crises are intentionally caused by these very powerful people who control the central banks and the financial system. And then you go, hey, Travis, what do you mean these powerful, secretive people who own the central banks and the financial system? Well, that goes back, Joel, to our G. Edward Griffin conversation with the creature from Jekyll Island and how they created the Federal Reserve Bank at the same time they created the IRS, same time they created the Federal Reserve Note, and the paper money. And their goal has always been to, over time, not immediately, like the people who created it in Jekyll Island, in the Federal Reserve Bank, they know they're not going to be the ones that see this to fruition, but they know their grandkids are probably going to be the ones that lead it. So they want to consolidate power and control humanity and orchestrate this economic turmoil over a long period of time. Like, they don't have just a 4-year cycle of goal like a typical president does, Joel. They have like, hey, we're going to do this over the next 125 years, right?
Right. It's
And
generational. It's kind of, the Chinese have been so successful because, as you've noted before, they have a 500-year plan. And so the powers that be are looking, forward to the generations to come here and going, how do we bring this to a place where we have all the control on the world and we decide how the world is run? And so this book provides one theory on how this all comes together and how they bring about this great reset. And so it doesn't mean that this is what is going to happen, but all of the things we're going to talk about that are described in this book are definitely, we're on that path to these things taking place. And fortunately, Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin. And if it weren't for decentralized cryptocurrency, I don't know that, there would even be a chance of fighting back against the tide that has been set against us. Do you?
Yeah. Well, what we're seeing is a collapse in monetary velocity, just like what happened in the 1930s depression, where money has an ebb and a flow. It's like they'll flood the market with more paper dollars and printer go brr, and then they get to the point where they start pulling that money back and there's less money, and that signals the end of the debt cycle, right? According to this book and according to other experts. And that's what we're seeing right now, is there's this slow collapse that's happening, and that's what's most likely motivating the Great Reset plan. Right. So they're talking about, oh, you'll have nothing and you'll be happy. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean we're going to have nothing and be happy? How do we have nothing? We all have plenty of things right now. So that's what this means is Joel, there's going to be this great taking of public wealth.
It means you've bugs and you've like it. They are very crunchy. You fry them up in a pan, and very nice crickets. Very tasty for you. So what we did is we took the document and we uploaded it into Claude.ai, and we asked it, draw out the key points for us. What is it that you're trying to say here in fewer words? And we want to share that with you. And we're going to put this also in the show notes on the website at badco.in/696. So you'll have your links and you can read along. There's 3 main issues here that are important. And the first one is that the financial crises of the day are intentional. They cause them on purpose. And as Travis mentioned, the velocity of money collapses prior to the crises, right? This measures how currency circulates in the economy. And this is how you end up with like a Great Depression. And we should be able to see the signs of this. Right. And here in the United States, what they do is they just print more money. Right. That's a high velocity. The amount of money they're putting into the supply, it shows us that this is not something that anybody wise would do. This is to devalue the dollar.
Yeah. And as a result of that, there's these cycles of booms and busts. And those are designed to concentrate wealth and create more control. Like, if you're familiar at all with the Rothschild family, like Mayer Amschel Rothschild in the 1700s, he was the goldsmith for the King of France. And he was in charge of, or the King of France basically had him send money to his troops. They gave him $3 million worth of gold to send to his troops. And he basically embezzled that money. Mayer Amschel Rothschild did, and then he set up 5 banks all throughout Europe, and then he put a certain amount of money in each one of these banks, and then they started funding wars, both sides of the war, and they were able to determine who they wanted to win, and the biggest thing that they ever did, the biggest concentration of the wealth for the Rothschild family happened when Napoleon went to Russia and they had the Battle of Waterloo, and Napoleon got destroyed, right? Well, the Rothschilds had a messenger come back to Britain and told them, hey, Napoleon got destroyed. And so they leaked out to the public, Napoleon's victorious. He has destroyed Russia. And that just tanked the UK stock market. And so what they were able to do, they waited for the prices to drop down to pennies on the dollar. And then they bought up everything else. And then the other messenger came in and said, hey, Napoleon actually lost. The stock market tore off. And the Rothschilds had subsequently created this financial coup to basically steal most of that wealth. And now what they've done is they've been able to orchestrate over time, generationally, or orchestrate this economic turmoil for taking of assets, restrictions on freedoms. And now we're at the point where printing money is not spurring growth anymore. It's starting to signal that monetary collapse, Joel.
So what happens then next is that the central banks tighten conditions, even though it looks weak, right? So they allow banks to fail. And we've seen this happen this year. We saw it with SVB, we saw it with Signature, we've seen it with others, even though they have the power to provide liquidity to these banks. These banks don't have cash. If you want to cause a bank teller to freak out, let's say you got $25,000 in your account, go into that bank and say you want to withdraw that in cash, and watch them go,
And not only that, they ask you, and so what are you going to spend this money on?
Right. Like it's your business.
I'm like, well, I'm going to give it to the migrants that are homeless.
Right.
I feel really for them. And then I'm going to take the rest of it and I'm going to switch my sex. And so that's okay, but I need it in cash if I could.
Yeah. So, and then what they do is they cooperate with the media to put out disinformation campaigns. So they put out statistics that aren't accurate. They put out false narratives. They
job reports that look amazing. Like, oh my God, the economy's like, they're literally blowing smoke up your ass, telling you how great everything is, while everyone realizes when they go to the grocery store that you're buying $100 worth of groceries now for about $220.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is the very definition of gaslighting. So they say, oh no, the economy is great. They show that they try and confuse people, basically. So if you're going to engineer a crash, then you want to make sure people are good and confused, that they don't know what's really happening. So then what does happen, they go, oh, this is how it happened. And
they want to thwart those. They want to thwart those bank rushes. They don't want bank runs to happen until they get all of their stuff pulled out. Now, here's a key point I want you to think about, folks, is that when Joel talks about these disinformation campaigns confusing the public, well, that's not a bug. That's a feature. And what happens is when these global elite run these economies and they run the central banks, they control the printing of the money. And then the way that the Federal Reserve is set up is that there's these trustees, I believe 7 families now are the trustees of the Federal Reserve Board. And those guys, whenever you pay taxes to the IRS, America owes like $32 trillion in debt. Well, that money that we're paying in the IRS, that's going to pay the interest and paying our loans and our debt to these people who run the trust, who are the trustees of the Federal Reserve Bank. And they're taking all that money. They're buying up media companies. They're buying up big corporations. They're buying board seats. They're buying just enough stock and shares in all these different companies to be able to push their will. Now you have companies like BlackRock and Vanguard and some of these other ones that manage so many $1 trillion that they coming into an industry can make or break or destroy or blow up any particular industry that they try to focus on, right? And I think that brings us to the next point, Joel, whereas security ownership has been undermined. I don't know if you know this or not, but back in the day, whenever you had stock in some company, they literally sent you paper stock certificates that was signed, and they were really cool, and you owned them, and it was amazing, and that has gone away.
Right. You don't need to physically hold, just like, look, money used to be backed by gold, and then the gold standard was removed. And now we've got paper money, fiat currency that they could just print at will. It's not backed by anything but the trust of the government. Well, guess what? If the government fails, you can't trust them. That means the paper money that you've got is worthless. So they got rid of paper stock certificates as well. And they have created an environment where client assets can easily be seized by creditors or by the government, which is why the CBDCs are so frightening, because once you are in a digitally issued currency that the government controls, that is deposited into your bank account by them, they could easily go in there and say, oh, your social credit score is low. And we'll be talking a little bit more about how that happens with, confiscation. But by undermining security ownership, they are carving the path for this to take place.
Yeah. So over the last several centuries, legal changes have happened that sort of erode and eliminate property rights, right? And even these securities no longer confer ownership rights. And, if something bad happens, who's getting protected first? It's the creditors, not the public. The public has very little protection when it comes to insolvency on some of these. And so, remember when Bear Stearns collapsed and some of those other ones? Those assets go to these other companies. The people who were, the public, that was the stockholders and some of this other stuff that was working with Bear Stearns, or people who had their bank accounts in Bear Stearns, not all of them were made whole. Many of them completely got screwed over, but the companies who then inherited those credited assets become the holders. They're the ones. And so what's happening is we're starting to see that it's way easier for creditors to seize assets. There's been so many different cases here recently over time that the precedent is in place that the creditors get paid first and the public gets paid last, leaving very little, if anything, back to the public.
Which is why, and this is not financial advice, I prefer to diversify. There is wisdom in the proverb not to put all your eggs in one basket. You might want multiple baskets, is all I'm saying. And there's a
new adage: don't put all of your cryptos into one shitcoin. Diversify your shitcoins, and then put some into Bitcoin, probably.
Or even in one wallet. And hopefully, after the last episode, you guys are earning Satoshis listening to this podcast on the Fountain app. Are you guys listening to it there? If you are, then let us know in the app. You can comment on the show that you're listening on right now and let us know that you're listening and earning Satoshis there. And if you haven't listened to that last episode, number 695, then go download the Fountain app and listen to us there. And instead of earning nothing while you're listening to the show, you can be earning Satoshis listening to these very same words coming from my mouth. It's like Satoshis are just spilling off my tongue.
It's the exact same process. You're probably listening on your phone. Guess what? Use the Fountain app. Listen to this on your phone, because those Satoshis that you own, once you connect those back to your own private wallet, you will own those. I don't see how any of these organizations or any of these big bankers can take your crypto, your Bitcoin that you own in your Bitcoin wallets. So you need to be your own bank. I think that's one of the main things about this, because unless you're utilizing your Bitcoin as collateral, I don't see how they can take it away from you.
So they cause these financial crises. They undermine the ownership of securities, and this leads to the part that will directly impact everyone, and that is that all your assets can be confiscated and you can be enslaved. So, bank holidays allow selective closures. Like during the Great Depression, upcoming bank holidays will selectively close banks, confiscate deposits, eliminating resistance and funneling assets to the elites. Don't think this can't happen. This has happened, recently in other countries. I think Greece or Cyprus. Which one was it that had the seizing of assets?
It was Greece.
Yep.
They also did like reverse interest rates. So like you would put in $100,000 in the bank, and then they had say a negative 5% interest rate. So you actually had $95,000 in there. You didn't have your full 100,000 because they're taking percentage of it. And then when their bank crashed, if you had assets in there, they're able to take up to X% of that money on their own. and say, screw you, we don't have to do anything other than that, because you're dealing with you're dealing with a corrupt banking institute that's failing. And so that's what's wild. And there's these things called these CCPs, these credit clearing parties. They're designed to fail and over time take customer accounts. And even the fact that fiat money is printing money out of thin air, they still want to take your buying power. They're taking the buying power away, because for them to gain the true power that they want, they have to slowly destroy America, because we're the bastion of freedom. We have all of these. We have all this great. The economy was great. So if you look over the last 20 years since 9/11, we spent all that money in the Gulf Wars and all this. Now we have all this debt. We went from having very little debt to now having $30+ trillion and no cap. We have no ceiling on our debt right now. So they're just printing as much money as they want, and they're using it. And they're slowly going to get to the point where we're all broke. We all owe so much money because we have to pay high dollar for gas. We have to pay high dollar for groceries. Our bills have increased. All these things have increased. And then you're going to get to the point where you can't pay stuff. So now you're in bankruptcy, and boom, now they're going to own your house again, right? And so that's where we're moving towards. And then we get to that point where all this bad shit happens, and then they launch their central bank digital currency to save us.
Yes. And that's where they now have total control, right? If they have a digital currency, then you've got unelected central banks are going to monitor all your transactions and basically create conditions that can forcibly divest you of all your property. And, China has the social credit score system that we talked about that was coming. It's there now. There's an app. And if you associate with people that they deem undesirable, you lose points in your social credit score. If you are saying things on social media that are contrary to the narrative that is out there, you lose points. And when you lose points, you lose the ability to move. You might not be able to take the transportation system. Might not be able to fly, take a train, ride the bus. You might be an outcast of society. And there's films, movies. Hollywood has predicted this, and it is very scary. It's happening in China. Why can't it happen here? Because this is America. Well, people are sleeping in America. Mm-hmm. We are raising a weak generation right now, very soft generation. If their feelings get hurt, they have a hissy fit about it. And we've definitely got a problem. It is, we both have children, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want my children to bring children into this world. And of course, hey, get kids, you want to have kids, and you're going to raise them right, and they can be the resistance, I suppose. But it is definitely frightening the direction things are going.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with this. And I think that, you covered a lot right there. I mean, that might be something that folks might want to rewind and listen to what Joel was saying right there, because there's so much going on. We're going to get to this point when you think about it, and we're here is, for one, do you believe there's a global elite? Do you think there's these people that are above the law? Do you understand that yet?
Aliens.
Do you see how the Department of Justice is working for one class of people, working against another class of people? Do you see that yet? Do you see how we're like a banana republic in many ways, where we're, arresting political opponents? Do you see that? Oh, you protested. You didn't even do anything violent, and now you were a January 6th person. We're putting you in prison for 18 years. Oh, you just raped 4-year-old twins. Well, we're giving you 6 months in prison. Like, you see these things happening, and you're going, this stuff ain't right. They're doing stuff that they're trying to piss us off. And now they've arrested Trump, and they're going to broadcast that live stream across the world and have journalists there with their phones taking photos and videos and pictures. Wow. Like, I look at that and you go, well, they must really have shit locked down, because they're going to want to make Trump look like the example. How would anybody ever want to go against this powerful regime when they can do what they've done to this guy, and they can do it to you in a lot easier way, right? So how do we take control back? How do we do this? Because, it's a really scary time when you look at what could potentially happen as we move forward for these CBDCs and how you can have these digital coins, this Fed coin, and they can refund your money. But if you go outside of this 15-mile city, you can't use these funds outside of that area. You got $2,000 of universal basic income a month. If you don't spend it by the end of the month, the rest of it expires. So they're setting up this system of a panopticon where cameras are everywhere. They can keep track of everything you do, everything you spend, every place you go. They're going to minimize the amount of travel you can do because of climate change, Joel. We got to make sure you're not driving too far. People that are talking about climate change, like Bloomberg, he's talking about, climate change is so bad. The motherfucker's got 42 cars, right, 6 airplanes, 11 houses, and this motherfucker's talking about how my one car is bad because I drive X. Like, seriously, dude, are you serious?
Yeah. Well, look, if they really felt it was a problem, explain to me why they're buying beachfront property that would be underwater, right, in the case of the icebergs melting. Just use some common sense. We've been watching this narrative our whole lives, and I'll never forget, when I was about 10 years old, my dad subscribed to National Geographic, and I want to say it was 1975, where the cover of this was the Great Ice Age is coming. And that's the first time I saw that they were, putting this fear out there that if we didn't make some changes, and then the Ice Age turned to global warming. And when they realized that wasn't an effective narrative, they changed to climate change, which allows it to go either way. It's freezing, it's warming, and the whole 97% of scientists agree has been debunkified to such a great degree. But, you say a lie enough, and you truly have an indoctrinated generation that will believe absolutely anything. And it's just proof that propaganda is truly effective. We thought growing up that just that Russia did propaganda. Nope, gang, it's right here in your backyard. And those who are wise, at the very least, will go, you know what? I will consider that perhaps I have been lied to. I am going to investigate for myself. I'm going to engage my brain and not just believe what I am told, because maybe I'm missing something. And boy, I'll tell you what, once you peel back a layer of the onion and you discover that you've been lied to about one thing, now you have the right to question everything that particular media source or that government has told you. And once that happens, guess what? You too will be a conspiracy realist.
Yeah, we talked about a book that I read, and I think Joel read as well back in the day. I want to say maybe 2019, 2020, called The Everything Bubble, and how, the tech bubble happened in 1999, 2000. Then you had the great 2007, 2008, 2009 crash, the real estate crash and the derivatives crash. And now we're at that point where the everything bubble is so crazy to keep it in mind. And what's happened now is we're at this state where we're entering this sort of great deflation. We have these we're going to have great inflation followed by great deflation, and that means that your debts are not going to be able to be repaid after the everything bubble pops. It's going to facilitate these mass seizure of collateral, and more control is going to be popping up. That's their plan. They want to have this massive inflation followed by great deflation, bringing in the CBDC so they can restore payments under total surveillance, be able to monitor everything that we're doing. Trillions in losses from these engineered bubbles and crisis are going to allow this great taking to happen, Joel. And if you pay attention and you watch it, you can see that's what they're trying to do. But if humanity can wake up, we can potentially make this not happen.
Yeah,
if enough of us call bullshit on it, then maybe we can change it.
Right. Let's end this on a positive note, gang, because Satoshi Nakamoto's vision for decentralized currency, who would have guessed that this little idea, in this Bitcoin that people mocked at, even today, it's sitting at $25,000 per Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network is strong. It is unhackable. The ledger is immutable. And BlackRock and these others are now, applying for ETFs. And that's the only thing that scares me about it is that, are they going to be able to trade, 200 times the amount of Bitcoin on paper than actually exists? I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, but this thing is going mainstream. We had Dan Mapes from the Spatial Web Foundation and Versus AI on the show a few episodes ago, and he had a very optimistic take where decentralization could take us as a people. And remember, there's way more of us than there are of them, way more. And if we, the people, just say no, people are already saying no to any coming lockdowns that will take place. I'm really curious to see if they pull this stunt again and tell people to start masking up, even though the evidence came out that masks did absolutely nothing. If they try to shut down people again over this new variant of the flu, that I think there's a lot of people that are going to say no, and we must. You want to know what resist is? This is resist. The resist from 4 years ago, that was BS.
That was fake resist.
That was fake resist. This is real resist against real tyranny. And I believe that we the people are stronger than them the few, and we can make a stand, and we could say no, homie, don't play that. We're not playing that game. We're going to live our lives, stay out of our faces, don't tread on me.
Yeah, I would say that our greatest power is our collective refusal to comply with their bullshit, right? We have to start understanding what it is. And what's interesting is we've seen over the last 6 years or so, more people have woken up where they're like, oh my God, I was so in lockstep with all, and then, whoa, I just started to see what was going on. We need more people to see what's going on. And truth truly resonates with people. And I do believe that the curtain is being lifted on the global cabal's abuses of their power and their privilege. They look at us like we're filthy, useless eaters. We're taking up their resources in their mind, right? And so now we got people like Bill Gates releasing billions of mosquitoes in, GMO mosquitoes in where? Texas and Florida, two of the biggest Republican strongholds. They're releasing just crazy shit on them, and you can see them driving by with their helicopters dropping off all these mosquitoes. Do some research on it. Why are they doing that in Florida and in Texas? They're really trying to impact people in a lot of ways. They've done this jab. They got people on board. They've weakened people's immune system. Now when they release this next thing, people are going to get massively sick because they have no immune system.
All right.
They're going to say,
I was trying to end this on a happy note, on a positive note. And
it's just crazy. So we got to be aware of this stuff. So it's like, it's a matter of there's positivity here. There's awakening. That's helpful. We just have to see through the bullshit that's happening, and we got to stop it. And so, if you don't see it and you're still out there getting jabs, which you're probably not if you're listening to this podcast this far, you're not that guy, but share this with people. Let people know what's going on. Let people lift the veil from people's eyes and say, just listen to this. These guys are a little out there, but listen, because there's truth in this.
Out where? I'm not out anywhere. What are you talking about?
Out.
I'm living in reality. This is reality.
No, we are in reality, but to them, it seems like we're out there because they don't even listen. They get so stubborn.
Here's your starter kit. Your bullshittery detection starter kit is this. If a politician that is in power, let's assume they're in power, is opening their mouth, they are lying to you. Okay, just make that assumption. Assume this: if you are watching or reading or consuming a mainstream media source, they are lying to you. Both of these are gaslighting you. Just make that assumption going in, and then pursue truth. And look for yourself. Do your own research. DYOR is a legitimate.
We've been saying that for years. Do your own research, but a lot of people don't do their own research when it comes to the most important things because it seems boring. Like, I don't want to get into politics, Joel. It's none of my business. I can't do anything, right? It's like I'm going to vote harder, Joel. I'm going to vote harder so they don't steal my vote.
10 ballots. I'm going to end us on a positive note, regardless. And that positive note is life is beautiful. You have been given one chance to go around. don't squander it. Use your gifts and talents to make an impact on others. And one way that you can do that is by reviewing the show on iTunes and giving us 5 stars and tipping us on the Fountain app. That's 2 things. No, for real.
Because we're like, the world is beautiful and we're tired of talking about this negative shit. So maybe tip us and let us know you love us so we don't go away.
Well, we know this. We know that next year the halving is coming. We know what the 4-year cycle looks like. We're not saying that Bitcoin is going to go to the moon, but if the trends from past events are any indication, we're in for a crazy ride. We're here for it, gang. We've been here for it all along. It's been over 6 years. Episode 700 is approaching. We appreciate you. And of course, you know what to do. Stay back.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.
Let me tell you something, Joel. Alex Jones here of InfoWars, and I want to tell you, these crises are the lifeblood of the elite. They're tightening its grip. They're controlling demolition of the economy. They're making babies gay. Frogs are gay. They're alien gay frogs. They're dematerializing and erasing ownership. This is digital revolution. They're hijacking. They're trying to make legal claims to our assets. They're going to vanish, Joel. They're going to vanish as everything bubble is designed. It's designed to prime to implode on a scale that's going to make 2008 look quaint. Wall Street Journal is going to dance on your grave, Joel. They're going to dance on it. So,
Alien
CBDCs.
Alien alien gay baby frogs.
Yeah, this is Alex Jones. I'm out. Eat a bag of dicks. Global elite. Global cabal of bag suckers. Okay. Nut hugging ball lickers.